Why we're surrounded by.
Hi, my name is Nate Seeskin, and I am a program coordinator at the Shared Use Mobility Center in Chicago. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from Rodger, who heads an innovative citywide microtransit program in Wilson, North Carolina. Rodger, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure, Nate. Thanks for having me. My name is Rodger Lentz. I'm the assistant city manager here in Wilson, North Carolina. And just to give everybody a place on a map, we're about 45 minutes east of Raleigh, going towards the coast. So we're small city, but trying to do very innovative things. And glad to be here to share about microtransit.
Right. So could you describe the RIDE microtransit program in Wilson?
Sure. So our microtransit system is our sole transit here in the city. We're not connecting anybody to fixed route or whatnot. We're covering just about the entire city with transit service, and it's this app-enabled mobility where every ride can be shared. So if you think about a lot of people are familiar with Uber and Lyft, it's basically that, but being our public transit, we use a fleet of minivans, and we're able to take people to work or to their doctor's appointments or really anywhere they want to go in the city of Wilson. So it's a pretty cool system, and it's turned out to be very popular.
So for this project, you've used a variety of funding sources, including an Accelerating Innovative Mobility grant from the Federal Transit Administration. Could you describe that grant and some of the other funding sources you've used for this pilot?
Sure. So in general, when I talk about funding, we took the money that was being put into our fixed route and just were able to switch it over to here. Now, all those funding pots have changed over the now 2.5 years that we've done it. And I'm not the expert in all the acronyms for the funding and all that, but the AIM grant was actually allowed us to try out expanding the hours of our transit. So when we launched, we pretty much matched what we were doing with our fixed route as far as the hours of day and days of the week. But AIM was, we wanted to use AIM to see, if we could expand these hours, what would that do for the system? So we were able to add some time in the morning and some time in the evening. And really, we're trying to do a better job of capturing people that could use the system for a commute to work. And so that's how we use the AIM grant in this scenario.
So what outcomes have you seen so far with Wilson RIDE?
So we've actually seen tremendous growth in transit usage when we changed from fixed route to the microtransit. Now, we did that switch during the pandemic, but the numbers I'm going to share for you are what our fixed route system was doing pre-pandemic. And so we had done about a 3-month study, put some technology, some iPads on the buses, and had our drivers mark, where people were getting on and off and all that. What we found is during that time, we were averaging about 1,450 trips per week. And here recently, in fact, very proud to say in the last month, we've set 3 new weekly ride records. And so one of those, we hit 4,700 trips in a week. So that's a very significant growth in transit ridership. And we're very proud of that. But we've really surveyed our riders too. And so what we wanted to accomplish was helping people get to work or get to these essential errands. We certainly were cognizant of that during the pandemic. The essential services, getting food, getting to a medical appointment, getting to, let's say, a vaccination clinic. And so, but the stat I'm really most proud of is it's like just over 50% of our trips amongst the people that responded to the survey are journey to work. And that is exactly what we wanted to accomplish, was to help people get to a livelihood, right? And what we also found is it's a lot of lower income residents are using the service. We're a high poverty community. And we have a high percentage of folks that don't have access to a car. It's like 14 or 15%. And the number one barrier to work, well, there's two top barriers we found. There was a study, we had a study done on this, and a leadership class had some conversations with businesses and residents, and found that the top two things were transportation and daycare were the top two things preventing people from being able to get meaningful work. And so, I think the city committed to, we can solve the transportation problem. And so that's how we started going down this path of looking for a better solution for mobility. And so here we are 2.5 years later with, what is that, about a 300% increase in transit ridership. And so we're very proud of that.
So you just shared a lot of really great information about the increase in ridership for your microtransit system. Could you also talk about maybe some of the barriers you're experiencing with implementing the Wilson ride system in your city?
Yeah, sure. So we actually took all that in consideration at launch, right? Because we knew we had surveyed riders and tried to find out, do you have access to a smartphone? Do you have a bank account, debit card, credit card, or whatever? Would you be comfortable, using that online? And, we found that there was a fair percentage of people that did not have access to smartphone. We found a fair percentage that were unbanked and that were cash preferred. Our buses were all cash only. You couldn't use, you could buy a paper bus pass, but you didn't take any kind of, transit tech like you would see in the larger cities. I mean, that investment was just not within reach of a rural system like ours. So we were very intentional about trying to break down those barriers. So we created a voucher system where someone with cash could come to a city customer service and buy a voucher with a special code on it that they could use either on their smartphone, or we provided a call-in number that people could use. So there's a call center that also helps us operate the system. As well as a computer interface. So, you might have a computer at home, but you can't afford the smartphone. So you could use your computer to request trips in that way. Or if you're at work, same thing, you could use your computer through a web-based platform. So we found, in fact, that that was very useful to people, very popular. Our customer service was selling a lot of those vouchers. But we've also found is that over time, people have adopted using smartphones, and we went from 28% phone bookings and we're down to 18% phone bookings. So people have adopted that, and we've tried to provide tools in the city where we're able, so for example, Wilson's a broadband community. We operate a broadband utility where you can get gigabit service to every address in the community. And, we provide affordable options to lower income folks, especially in public housing. I mean, you can get broadband for like $10. That has been a game changer, as well as that Greenlight. It's called Greenlight, is our name of our broadband company that the city owns. We had deals where you could get a smartphone for like $10 or $15 a month, depending on what you needed or wanted. And so, you can't get that if you just went out to like a Verizon or Sprint or something like that. So trying to make it very affordable, or as affordable as we could, to let people have access to smartphone, because really it works best if you have that technology, but it's also an accessible system if you don't, and that was very important to us to make sure we didn't leave anybody behind.
Thank you for sharing that, Rodger. Could you speak about any future plans for Wilson Ride moving forward?
Yes. So again, through the surveys we've done, we've learned, what people's preferences are. Like if we could come up with additional money, where should we deploy those resources? And so a later night service is one of the top things. Sunday service, our bus system operated Monday through Saturday. It never operated on Sunday. Again, like I told you earlier, we tried to match the hours and days of operation of the fixed route service. So, adding some Sunday service would be beneficial to folks. I mean, people work Sunday, they need to run errands on Sunday. It's just a matter of funding, really. We've also surveyed folks that if a way to pay for later night service was people paying a little bit more at night, people would be more than willing to do that. Overwhelmingly support, paying a higher fair for nighttime service if it had to come to that. But that's my goal, is to try to get some more dollars. But as I told you, our ridership's up 300%. So we also have to think about, and one of the other things is, can we get, sometimes the wait times can be long, because during the morning peak and the afternoon peak, wait times are more than we want them to be. You were talking about, 23, 24, maybe 25 minutes before a vehicle can come pick you up in the very peak hour. So being able to put some more vehicles on the road during those times would help pull down those wait times. And so that's also a way that people would like to see. So I think that's really three potential service enhancements. Can we beef up the service to drop wait times? Can we add service later in the evening? And then, could we add service on Sunday? I think are the top three things that we would try to deploy additional resources for.
Thank you, Rodger. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today, and we wish you all the best with the Wilson Ride project moving forward.
Great, thank you.